The last episodes of Ginny and Georgia Season 3 included a huge shock, but when one important element is remembered, the entire situation seemed much more terrible. The Netflix series began this episode shortly after Georgia was arrested for the murder of Tom Fuller, and the remainder of the season focused on her arduous trial. For a brief period, it appeared as though the mayoress murderess might be sent to prison. Additionally, viewers were forced to face the fact that Georgia most certainly deserved this outcome. But Austin stepped in and salvaged the day at the final second. At the conclusion of Ginny and Georgia Season 3, we find out that Georgia persuaded Austin to say that his father, Gil, had killed Tom Fuller. Austin regrettably knew what had actually transpired because he had seen Georgia's wrongdoing. But once Ginny informed her brother that Gil had hurt her, he agreed to have his father imprisoned instead. Even though everyone rejoiced over Georgia's independence, her kid would probably never be the same after Austin politely took the stand and told a very believable falsehood. Ginny and Georgia unintentionally softened the situation, which is terrible. Austin's decision to blame his father for a crime he knows his mother committed is undoubtedly terrible and unsettling. It was awful to watch him sob on his bed while holding the jersey Gil had given him. But when you consider that Austin's role is significantly younger than he was in Ginny and Georgia Season 3, the issue becomes even more heartbreaking. This installment's 3 seasons span a single school year, or roughly 9 months. Austin was 9 years old when the series began, and he remains that age until the conclusion. But the actor portraying him has matured. Actor Diesel La Torraca was 10 years old when Ginny and Georgia Season 1 premiered in 2021, 4 years ago. The performer matched the age of his character, who would have been around 9 at the time of filming. La Torraca turned 14 in March of 2025, making her a teenager now. He's still portraying a 9-year-old in Ginny and Georgia, which is kind of funny, but it was unavoidable. However, if Austin hadn't appeared so much older, the scene in which he accuses his father of murder instead of his mother would have had a far greater impact. Even though Austin's pivotal moment in Season 3 was heartbreaking, it would be even more so to imagine the court scene being performed by 9-year-old La Torraca. The fact that this was just a little boy thrust into an awful circumstance would have been much more obvious. It would have been nearly unbearable to end it with a little Austin screaming for Ginny to get out of his room so he could resume hugging his father's jersey to his face. But that's just how the scene should have been. But before Ginny and Georgia Season 3, it was much simpler to support Georgia, but this episode made it clear that she is a problem. Although she is not a malevolent monster, she is a completely inadequate mother whose poisonous decisions nonetheless affect her kids. This is demonstrated by Ginny in Season 3, who, after attempting for so long to be completely different from her mother, begins to exhibit darker tendencies in these episodes. It's Austin's turn now. Even though he is considerably younger than Ginny, he is already expected to defend and lie for Georgia. It should have become abundantly clear that Georgia is a bad mother when she let Austin lie on her behalf and shoulder the burden of getting his father imprisoned. This is partly undermined, though, by the fact that La Torraca is younger than Ginny's character. One could unconsciously consider him to be a more independent character. Although it's not quite as concerning as if Austin had appeared as youthful as he did in Ginny and Georgia Season 1, Georgia would still have been irresponsible to let a juvenile defend her. Regretfully, that sequence simply wasn't as good as it may have been.